My husband didn't just cheat on me with my own sister. He stole my birthday money from my sweet grandmother, to take her on a romantic getaway while I sat alone, believing his perfect lie. The story of Nicholas, and I wasn't some swipe-right fairy tale. No, we got locked in an art gallery storage room, surrounded by dusty sculptures, with only a single protein bar to share. 2 hours turned into the best meet-cute imaginable. He said it was the luckiest accident of his life when he finally asked for my number. And for 5 years, 3 of them as his wife, life with Nicholas truly was good. We built a home, found our people, and created a life together. My birthday was just last weekend. Nicholas always made my birthdays feel like pure magic. Last year, a surprise trip to Shenandoah. The year before, an incredible dinner with all our closest friends. So when he told me, 3 weeks before, that he had a mandatory work retreat he absolutely couldn't get out of, my heart sank. I was crushed, but I tried to be understanding. He seemed genuinely gutted, blaming his boss for scheduling it over our weekend. He promised we'd make up for it, maybe even a mini vacation. I bought every single word, like an absolute fool. The night before he left, he handed me a small gift, a delicate pair of earrings, and apologized again for missing my day. He kissed me, whispering he wished he could stay. I watched him pack his sensible business casuals, his laptop, even those ridiculous team-building clothes companies insist on. I helped him pack. God, I was such an idiot. My birthday weekend came and went. I spent alone. DoorDash, binge-watching a new show, a bittersweet FaceTime with my parents, who wished me happy birthday. My mom, in her usual gentle way, asked if Nicholas was doing anything special. I explained his work thing, and I remember her looking surprised, but she didn't say anything more. Now, I understand why. Nicholas returned on Monday, laden with souvenirs, fancy chocolates, and a small bottle of wine from the retreat resort. He launched into tales of mind-numbing meetings and awkward team-building exercises. He seemed tired, but genuinely happy to be home. Everything felt sickeningly normal. Then, a text from Kayla. We weren't close, more like casual acquaintances, so her message, "Hey, call me when you're alone," immediately sparked a flicker of unease. I thought maybe some work drama or a bad date. When I called, her voice was quiet, hesitant. Is Nicholas home? She asked. No, I said, my stomach tightening. Okay, she sighed. I wasn't going to say anything, but I saw something on Instagram, and I don't know if it means anything, but I recognized Tina. Tina? My sister? My mind raced, trying to put the pieces together. Recognized her where? I pressed. Kayla's next words shattered my entire world. One of my mutuals posted a story from a spa over the weekend. Just a chill pool video. But I swear to God, Nicholas and your sister are in the background. My blood ran cold. Send it to me. I commanded, my voice barely a whisper. The screen recording arrived. And there they were. Nicholas and Tina. My husband. My sister. In the background of a pool video, clear as day. His arm was around her. She was leaning into him. They were laughing, smiling, looking utterly comfortable, happy, like a damn couple. While I was home, alone, on my birthday, believing his elaborate lie about some mandatory work retreat. I've never felt such a gut punch. I watched that 10-second clip on a loop. 10 seconds that obliterated 5 years of my life. It was them, undeniably. He was wearing that same stupid vest I helped him pack. And Tina? She had on the earrings I gave her. You cannot make this up. All this time, they were at a spa together, holding each other like nothing else in the world existed. Like I didn't exist. I don't know what burned more, the raw, searing pain of the cheating, or the sickening realization that they didn't even care enough to hide it. He didn't slip up. He didn't make a mistake. He just didn't give a damn. And I would have never known. Not unless some girl I barely knew happened to post a pool story at the exact wrong time for them. By the way, if this story has you on the edge of your seat, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, you won't want to miss how this train wreck unfolds. My mind was a whirlwind of rage and confusion, but a cold, calculating part of me kicked in. I immediately checked our joint bank account. Sure enough, a $1,200 withdrawal from the Friday before. No clear label. Then I checked his personal account, the one I sometimes accessed for emergencies. Nothing unusual there. But then a sickening thought. My birthday money. My grandma, bless her heart, always mailed me $800 in cash every single year. I tucked it into my wallet, meaning to deposit it later. My hand shaking, I checked. It was gone. A cold certainty settled over me. This wasn't just an affair. This was calculated. I called the spa, pretending to need a receipt for expense reporting. The woman on the phone was incredibly helpful, bless her oblivious heart. She looked up the reservation under Nicholas's name, confirmed the dates, my birthday weekend. It was for their romantic weekend package for two. The total? $1,150. Paid with $800 cash and $350 from a credit card. The pieces clicked into place with a horrifying thud. The cash was my birthday money, my grandmother's gift. The $350 on the credit card? That $1,200 withdrawal from our joint account wasn't for groceries. It was to pay off his little secret. He stole my freaking birthday money to take my sister to a romantic spa resort over my birthday weekend. Who does that? I waited. The air in the house was thick with unspoken dread. When Nicholas finally came home, I met him. I showed him the videos Kayla sent. His face went from white, stark terror to a deep, burning red. He started with the excuses, the lies. Tina was going through a hard time. She needed someone to talk to. I was just being supportive. I didn't say a word. I just pulled up the spa reservation details on my phone and showed him. Then, my voice dangerously calm, I asked about my birthday money. That's when everything changed. It was like watching someone transform right before my eyes. His face hardened, the last shreds of decency falling away. He admitted taking the money, admitted everything. He and Tina had been seeing each other for months. Then he laughed, a cruel, chilling laugh, while tears streamed down my face. He told me I never deserve a gift anyway, and at least Tina knows how to keep a man happy. That's when I snapped. I walked to our bedroom, slamming the door so hard the house shook. I could hear him on the phone after that, no doubt warning Tina that his pathetic charade was over. That was 3 days ago. I haven't spoken a word to him since. He's tried, switching between angry defensiveness and these half-hearted, fake apologies. This morning, he left for work like everything was normal, but he practically ripped his jacket off the hanger when I wouldn't respond. To his hollow goodbye. I haven't called my parents. I haven't confronted Tina. I haven't told anyone except a bunch of strangers on the internet. I feel like I'm walking through someone else's life. The thing that keeps replaying in my head isn't even the affair. It's him stealing my birthday money for their romantic weekend. The sheer audacity. The absolute contempt. My hand starts shaking again just thinking about it, and all I want to do is smash something. Last night, I found myself Googling divorce lawyers at 3 a.m. I've started screenshotting everything. The bank withdrawals, the resort confirmation, the photos. I'm utterly lost. What do I even do next? Honestly, I didn't expect so many of you to care. I wrote that post at 2 a.m., shaking and crying, just needing to scream into the void. I thought maybe a few strangers would say that sucks, and I'd delete it by morning. But the outpouring of support, the advice, the validation that I wasn't crazy, it meant more than words can say. It's been almost 2 weeks since I found out my husband was cheating on me with my sister. It still feels like a nightmare I can't wake up from. The first few days after I posted were a blur. Nicholas and I were just two ghosts haunting the same house, barely speaking. He kept trying to initiate a conversation, begging to just sit down, but I couldn't even look at him. I couldn't stomach another lie. I'd just walk away or pretend I had headphones in. I was numb. Then, out of nowhere, a text from my sister, Tina. It was this pathetic, insipid message. I'm sorry it just happened. I didn't mean for it to come out like that. Like it just happened. Like she tripped and fell into my husband's arms. You chose this. Multiple times. For months. You knew it was my birthday. You knew I'd be alone. You knew. And that's all you have to say? I didn't respond. I just sent the text to my mom with a simple, ask Tina what this is about. I couldn't bring myself to explain everything yet, but I knew my mom would push for answers. And wow, did she ever. Less than an hour later, my phone was a kaleidoscope of missed calls, texts, and voicemails from both my mom and dad. I let it ring, braced myself, and then finally picked up for my mom. She was already crying. Tina had admitted everything. It had been going on for a while, and they'd caught feelings. I confirmed it all, laying out the photos, the resort confirmation, the stolen money. My mom was silent for a long moment, then asked if she should come over. I told her no, I needed time. My dad called next. That one hit harder. He barely said anything, just asked if I was safe, if I needed money, anything. His voice cracked halfway through, and I just started sobbing. I hadn't cried all day, but something about hearing my strong dad sound so broken just shattered me. A couple of hours later, our family group chat exploded. Tina had told everyone, trying to spin it as some tragic love story. "We tried to fight it," she wrote, "and we didn't mean to hurt anyone." My older brother, Robert, absolutely ripped her apart. He called her delusional, selfish, a vulture. Mom sent 6 shock face emojis and nothing else. Dad simply stated he was profoundly disappointed. I muted the chat. I couldn't handle any more emotional whiplash. It was around then I decided I needed to get my act together. I called a friend who works at our bank, vaguely mentioning that things were rocky and I needed to understand our finances better. She helped me dig, and that's when I realized the spa weekend was just the tip of the iceberg. Nicholas had been sneaky for months. Little withdrawals labeled groceries, but no new food in the fridge, work travel that didn't match his actual calendar. Turns out, he had 3 credit cards I knew nothing about, all in his name. On 2 of them, he'd even added me as an authorized user, but set the card delivery and notifications to go only to his email and preferred mailing address. He even told the bank not to issue physical cards for the additional user for simplicity. I never got a card, never got a statement, had no clue this was even possible. But when my friend helped me pull the records, there it all was. Fancy restaurants I'd never been to, weekend Airbnb stays, a $300 necklace bought 3 days before Tina's birthday. Seriously, I confronted him the next morning, armed with the evidence. He got defensive instantly, sputtering that I was too controlling with money and he needed freedom. When I asked about the secret credit cards, he claimed they were for emergencies. Oh, really? So romantic hotel weekends with my sister are now considered emergencies? I lost it. I grabbed his favorite Darth Vader mug, a ridiculous collector's item, and threw it against the wall. Rip Darth Vader. He called me insane and stormed out. We haven't really talked since, other than his yelling or pouting. I booked a consultation with a divorce lawyer the very next day. She was calm, kind, and incredibly helpful. She laid out what documents to gather, advised me not to leave the house yet, and told me to start tracking what was bought with joint funds versus personal gifts. It felt overwhelming, but at least it gave me something to do, a path forward. I also went to urgent care and got tested for STIs. Thank God. All negative, but it was absolutely humiliating explaining why I needed the tests. While all this was going on, Nicholas started his love bombing cycle. Flowers. Apologies. Let's go to therapy. We can get through this. When I didn't react, it flipped. Now I was not even trying. He'd go from fake sad to passive-aggressive to silent, depending on the hour. Then came the kicker. I came home early from work, power outage at the office, and heard him on the phone in the kitchen. He didn't hear me come in. He was telling Tina, just give her some space. I'm handling it. Once this blows over, we'll figure things out. I just walked in, grabbed my water bottle, and walked out. Didn't say a word. He knew I heard. He hung up fast, but didn't follow me. That night, I called my cousin Jason. He owns a rental house that's currently empty for renovations. I didn't even get through the full story. He just said, it's yours. No pressure. Pay what you can. I cried again, but this time it was relief. Since then, I've been slowly moving stuff over while Nicholas is at work. Just the essentials for now. Documents, clothes, sentimental items. I've opened a new bank account at a completely different bank. I'm setting myself up to walk away clean. Last weekend, Nicholas ordered an expensive watch online. $2,100, paid for with our joint account. He claimed it was for work meetings, to keep up appearances, but I knew it was just another pathetic attempt to stroke his ego in the middle of all this chaos. The delivery was scheduled for yesterday, when I'm usually at work, but I'd swapped shifts last minute and happened to be home when the courier rang the bell. I signed for the package, and out of sheer curiosity and spite, I opened it. There it was, the shiny, absurdly overpriced watch. For a second, I thought about just leaving it on the table as more evidence of his reckless spending. But then I thought, why should I? This came out of our joint account. I didn't want to cause a scene or break any laws, so I looked up the store's return policy. Turns out, as long as the item was unopened and I could prove the purchase came from a joint account, they'd allow an in-person return for a refund. No questions asked. I drove to the nearest branch that same day with the receipt from our online banking. The clerk barely blinked, scanned the barcode, confirmed the transaction, and processed a refund right there. The money went back into our joint account within the hour. But I'd already set up an account alert, and I knew exactly when to move my share into my new bank. He probably wouldn't even notice until the next time he tried to flex. Nicholas is away at an actual work conference right now. He has no idea that the house is half empty, that I've got divorce papers drawn up, or that he'll be walking into the ugliest wake-up call of his life. I don't know what happens next. I'm terrified. I'm pissed. But for the first time in a long time, I'm also ready. And that, in itself, is something. It's been a month since my last update, and my world has been a hurricane of activity. When I left off, I was about to leave Nicholas while he was at his work conference. Most of my life was already packed away at my cousin Jason's rental. That absurdly expensive watch he ordered, returned for a full refund, my share safely tucked in my new bank account. And the divorce papers? Ready to go. Well, I did it. And the fallout? Intense doesn't even begin to describe it. The morning Nicholas was due back, I did one final, agonizing sweep of our house. I only took what was definitively mine and a few deeply sentimental items we'd bought together that I couldn't bear to part with. All the furniture stayed, except for my grandmother's antique reading chair. That's been in my family for generations. I placed the divorce papers on a kitchen table, a single note on top. You were right. I don't know how to keep a man happy, but apparently neither does my sister. Next to it, I left my house key and, with a final shuddering breath, my wedding ring. Then I walked out for good. That night in my new place felt profoundly weird. I felt hollow, like I was watching someone else's life unfold. I kept my phone turned off, not wanting to deal with the inevitable explosion once Nicholas got home. When I finally dared to turn it back on the next morning, the screen lit up with a terrifying number. 27 missed calls from Nicholas. 12 from Tina. 5 from my mom. Nicholas left voicemails that started confused. Hey, where are you? Did you go to your parents? Then turned angry. What the hell is this? We need to talk right now. And finally, sounded utterly desperate. Please call me back. We can work this out. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Tina's messages were all about Nicholas pulling away from her, asking if I'd talk to him. She had no clue I'd left and serve him with papers. My mom was just checking if I was okay after Nicholas had called them, frantically looking for me. I texted Mom, assured her I was safe, but reiterated I needed space. I didn't respond to Nicholas or Tina. Around noon, my lawyer's email popped up. Nicholas had already contacted her office. She simply reminded me not to talk to him directly about anything related to the divorce and to forward any messages from him to her. Honestly, it was such a profound relief having that boundary. The next few days were a blur of logistics, setting up utilities, changing my address everywhere, updating my work contacts. Nicholas kept switching between blowing up my phone and going silent for hours. I documented everything, but I didn't answer a single call. Then came the first real surprise. 5 days after I left, Tina showed up at my workplace. I was walking to my car after my shift when I spotted her, leaning against a lamppost in the parking lot, arms crossed, her eyes red and puffy like she'd been crying for days. When she saw me, she straightened up and started walking over fast. Every instinct screamed at me to just keep going, to ignore her, but she called my name loud enough that a couple coworkers turned to look. I didn't know where else to go, she said, her voice shaky. She didn't outright ask for help. Instead, she launched into this rambling, self-pitying story about how Nicholas had stopped talking to her, how he'd promised her all these things and then just bailed, how our parents were treating her like she didn't exist. I know you hate me, she whined, but you don't get it. He used me too. I thought he actually cared. It wasn't an apology. It was her trying to make herself the victim, again, hoping I'd somehow feel sorry for her. I could see it in her eyes. She wasn't here to fix things. She wanted me to tell her it wasn't her fault. When I didn't say anything, just stood there, my face a mask, she stepped closer, her voice dropping. "You're not the only one who got hurt, you know." I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing. Not anger, not satisfaction in her suffering, not even pity, just an aching emptiness. I told her I couldn't help her and that she should call her brother Robert. When she tried to grab my arm, I yanked it away hard enough that she stumbled backward. Then I got in my car and drove away. Later that night, she texted me from a new number. "He's changed. I think he still loves you. We made a mistake." I stared at that message for like 20 minutes, a grim smile playing on my lips. Then I took a screenshot and sent it to Nicholas, without any comment. He called immediately, but I didn't answer. An hour later, he texted, "It wasn't like that. She's lying. I never loved her, it was just physical. Please talk to me." I forwarded that message to Tina, also without comment. Maybe it was petty, but I wanted them both to see what the other was saying. I wanted them to feel a fraction of the raw, gut-wrenching betrayal I'd felt. A week later, I was served with Nicholas's response to my divorce filing. He was contesting everything: property division, the grounds for divorce, even claiming I had abandoned the marital home. My lawyer calmly told me this was typical, an initial negotiation tactic, and not to worry. What Nicholas didn't know was that I had documented everything meticulously. Every sketchy financial transaction, every incriminating text message, photos of him and Tina together, recordings of his admissions, statements from witnesses. My lawyer seemed super confident we had a solid case. 2 weeks after I left, I finally met with my parents. They looked utterly exhausted, aged by worry. Dad hugged me for so long when I arrived, and Mom kept wiping tears from her eyes. They told me they had several conversations with Tina. She was staying with Robert temporarily, but it wasn't going well. Apparently, she kept insisting that she and Nicholas had a real connection and that everyone was overreacting. My brother's wife was apparently ready to throw Tina out herself. I told my parents about the divorce proceedings and my new place. I assured them I was okay financially and emotionally, a bit of a lie, but they had enough to worry about. Dad surprised me by saying they'd already spoken to a family lawyer about removing Tina from their will. I told them that wasn't necessary. She was still their daughter, but Dad was firm. He said actions have consequences, and they raised us both better than this. 3 weeks after leaving, I learned through my lawyer that Nicholas had withdrawn a large sum from our joint savings account, about $7,000. Luckily, I'd already moved most of my share to my new account, but it still felt like another profound violation. My lawyer immediately filed motions to freeze the remaining joint assets and for temporary financial orders. The court date was set for the following week, but 2 days before, Nicholas's lawyer contacted mine. Suddenly, he wanted to negotiate. No court, no fight. He would agree to my proposed property division if I would agree to keep the reason for divorce private, rather than citing adultery specifically. My lawyer advised me this was a good deal. I'd get what I wanted financially without a long, drawn-out court battle. But something felt off. Why the sudden change? Why was he so concerned about the public record? I asked for time to think about it. That evening, I got a text from an unknown number. "Tina, using a friend's phone. Nicholas's boss found out about us. He's in trouble at work. Please don't make things worse for him." And there it was. Nicholas's company had a strict policy about personal conduct, especially for someone in his position. If the divorce cited adultery with specific public details, it could affect his job. That's why he suddenly wanted to settle. I told my lawyer I would agree to the terms, with one addition. Nicholas would be responsible for all legal fees, including mine. His lawyer countered, we negotiated, and settled on him paying 80% of all fees. The papers would be signed the following week. Yesterday was actually the first day I didn't cry at all. Not once. I went to work, had lunch with a coworker, came home, made dinner, watched a show, and went to bed. Normal things, small things, but they felt like monumental victories. This morning, I woke up to 15 missed calls from that same unknown number Tina had been using. I haven't listened to any of the voicemails. I don't need to hear her excuses anymore. This afternoon, I was grocery shopping when I got an email from Nicholas's company. Not directly from HR, but from their legal department. Apparently, Nicholas had told them I was spreading false rumors about him at work, including claims of infidelity. The email was framed like a basic fact check. They said they were conducting an internal review and wanted to confirm whether certain allegations were true. I stared at that email in the middle of the cereal aisle for so long. An employee actually asked me if I was okay. When I got home, I sent the email to my lawyer immediately. She called me 10 minutes later and said we'd respond officially, but carefully. Together, we drafted a brief statement confirming that I had filed for divorce based on clear evidence of infidelity and that I had no involvement in spreading personal information at his workplace. We attached screenshots and a redacted version of the spa receipt, just enough to make the point. We kept it factual, professional, and short. An hour later, we got the standard out-of-office reply. So now I wait. My brother Robert called this evening to check on me and mentioned that Tina had finally moved out of his house yesterday. Tina's now staying with a friend, though Robert doesn't know which one. He said she left a mess in their guest room, stained sheets, makeup all over the bathroom counter, and even a small burn on the carpet from a straightening iron. While we were talking, I got a notification that Nicholas had posted on Instagram for the first time in weeks. It was a photo of a whiskey glass with some deep, pseudo-philosophical quote about weathering storms and finding yourself. I almost laughed out loud. What's wild is that 6 weeks ago, that post would have devastated me. Now, it just seems pathetic. The man who laughed while I cried, who stole my birthday money to cheat with my sister, who told me I didn't deserve gifts. Now he's posting sad boy content on social media. I'm still staying at Jason's rental place, but I've started looking for my own apartment. I've been browsing Facebook Marketplace for secondhand furniture and signed up for one of those meal kit services, so I'm not just eating takeout every night. Tomorrow, I have a meeting with my lawyer to review the final settlement agreement before Nicholas signs it next week. She thinks we've covered everything, but wants to double-check there are no surprise assets or debts we've missed. I know the road ahead is still long. The divorce will take time to finalize completely. Nicholas and Tina wanted to play adult games. Now they're facing adult consequences. And that, finally, feels like justice. So many of you have DM'd me, asking for updates, and I've been meaning to post one for a while. I promised a final update once things were settled. So here goes. First off, the divorce was finalized last month. Nicholas eventually stopped contesting everything once his company started investigating him. In the end, our assets were divided, mostly as I initially proposed. I kept my retirement accounts and personal belongings. He kept the house, but had to refinance to remove me from the mortgage and pay me my share of the equity. We split our joint savings, minus the $7,000 he had conveniently withdrawn, and he was responsible for 80% of all legal fees as agreed. The whole thing was expensive and draining, but ultimately it was fair. The most unexpected thing happened the day we finalized everything at the courthouse. Nicholas asked, through his lawyer, if we could talk for 5 minutes. My lawyer advised against it, but a strange curiosity gnawed at me. What could he possibly have to say? So I agreed as long as we stayed in the courthouse with security nearby. He started by saying he wasn't trying to win me back, but he needed me to know he recognized how badly he messed up. He asked if we could eventually be on speaking terms. I looked at the man who had shattered my world and, with a calm I didn't know I possessed, simply said, "Probably not, but I wish you well." That last part wasn't entirely true. I don't wish him ill, exactly, but I don't particularly wish him well. As for Tina, that's more complicated. After getting kicked out of Robert's place, she bounced between friends' couches for a while. Most of them got sick of her after a couple weeks, according to my mom. She'd stay up late, drinking wine and crying about how unfair everything was, but wouldn't actually do anything to improve her situation. She eventually moved back in with our parents about 3 months ago. Mom says it's been super tense. Dad barely speaks to her, and Mom is caught in the middle, trying to keep peace in the house. Tina found a job at some call center and is supposedly saving for her own place, but the progress is snail slow. I guess it's hard to save when you spend half your paycheck on Sephora orders and Uber Eats. We still haven't spoken directly since that day in the parking lot of my work. She sent countless texts from various numbers after I kept blocking her. They've evolved from defensive, "You don't understand what Nicholas and I had," to desperate, "Please talk to me. I miss my sister," to resigned, "I know you'll probably hate me forever." I haven't responded to any of them. My extended family knows something happened between Tina and me, but not all the details. Most haven't pried, though my grandma, the one who sent the birthday money Nicholas stole, cornered me at Christmas. She told me that whatever Tina did, I should remember that forgiveness heals the forgiver more than the forgiven. I nodded politely and changed the subject. I love Grandma, but she doesn't understand that some betrayals can't just be forgiven with a hug and a prayer. As for me, I'm doing okay. Better than okay. Sometimes. I found my own apartment 2 months ago, a small one-bedroom with good natural light and a tiny balcony. Last week, I went on a third date with a guy I met through a friend. He's a radiologist at the Children's Hospital across town. He knows the broad strokes of my story and hasn't run away screaming yet. We're taking things extremely slowly, but it's nice to remember that not all men are trash. The most surprising development has been my relationship with my brother, Robert. We were never particularly close growing up, 5 years apart and with totally different interests. But throughout this whole mess, he's been my biggest defender. When Tina tried to paint herself as the victim at a family dinner I wasn't attending, he apparently shut her down so thoroughly that she left the table crying. He calls me weekly just to check in, and his wife has become like the sister I feel I've lost. A few weeks ago, I ran into Nicholas at Target. I just nodded politely and walked away. Later, when I went to check out, the cashier told me someone had paid for my items. I knew it was him. I donated the exact amount, $74 and change, to a local women's shelter that afternoon. I didn't want anything from him. The money from the watch return that I mentioned in my last update, I used it to book a solo trip to Costa Rica next month for my 30th birthday. I'm going to stay in a little beachfront cabin, take surfing lessons, and just breathe. I deleted my old Instagram, too many memories with Nicholas and Tina, and created a new, private one with just close friends. I've been learning to cook actual meals instead of living on frozen dinners. I don't know if Tina and I will ever repair our relationship. Some days, I think the sister I loved died the moment she chose to betray me. Other days, I remember the little girl who used to follow me around, asking to borrow my clothes, and I wonder if something of that bond remains buried under all the hurt. Maybe time will tell, but I'm not rushing it. This whole journey has changed me in ways I never imagined. It's been incredibly painful, but I've also found strength I didn't know I had. What do you think about how I handled things? Have you ever had to cut someone toxic out of your life, even family? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to know.